In this tutorial, I'd like to talk about HTML5 audio and video, and I'll show you the setup that I have right here. I'm just going to use the existing site that I created a couple weeks ago in the tutorials. This is the responsive site. It has a little menu at the top and the header. What I did was just remove that large image right there. That's going to leave me a place where I can insert my audio and video files. And then I also have the W3 schools websites open here. I'll include the links for those on the tutorial website. But it's HTML5 audio and video. The code is pretty simple. And then the other thing I have here, if you look at my website folder, is, I duplicated the index.html page. I just showed you that, so I'm not replacing my home page. I'm doing this as a secondary page called audiovideo.html. And then I also created a media folder, and inside the media folder I have two files, a video file and an audio file. And I'll talk just a little bit about the file types that you're going to encounter here. When you download music or purchase it or record, typical file format you're going to see is MP3. Now there are a lot of other file formats that are not compressed for higher quality, like AIFF, things like that. But for the web, you're still going to use MP3. You can see this is a song. It's just Over the Rainbow, and it's 4.2 megabytes. And then I've got a short video clip as well. So creating these files, that's really beyond the scope of this tutorial. I think what I'll do is post this tutorial, and then if anyone has trouble getting a hold of a practice files, like you can't get an MP3 or you can't get any kind of video to practice this, let me know and I can upload some or send you some to practice with. But generally, I'm guessing at this point you can probably get a hold of an audio or video file to try this with. I'm sure you have MP3s. Everybody's got MP3s somewhere. You can search your computer. There's probably some on there. And then the videos are a little bit different. Pretty much whatever you take with your phone is either going to be like an MPEG video or possibly a QuickTime video. It's usually going to have a .mp4 extension, or it might have a .mov extension. And the only thing that I would be careful with when you're practicing this is don't use files that are too large, because what I'm showing you here, it's not streaming. It's actually using the HTML5 code to insert your video and audio into your website. So that does mean that it downloads. Now it will start playing before the whole thing downloads, so it works pretty well unless you put up like a 200 megabyte file. Also keep in mind that you can upload your videos to YouTube and then use the embed code that way as well. I'm not going to show that in a tutorial because it's pretty straightforward, but again, I just kind of do this on a case-by-case basis. If you have more questions about multimedia and you want to work with that, let me know. Most of the time, I think in this class, people are not trying to put in a lot of video and audio into your websites, so that's why I'm just going to record this one tutorial on it. But again, I'll offer to help you out if you want to explore this a little bit further. So what we're going to do here first is let's insert the audio file into our website. So I'm going to come over here to W3 Schools, and I'm just going to grab this code right here. Now you might see two different sources. That's a little bit confusing, and that's something that HTML5 uses from time to time to support older browsers. And it's not as much of a concern anymore because the code that I'm showing you, it works in pretty much any browser. Now there may be some problems with IE, but generally it's going to work for you. You can try it out, test it out on multiple browsers. When this HTML5 audio and video code was created a few years ago, it did not work with Firefox, I believe. So then they had all these different sources in here to try to make it work. So what we'll do is take this, but we don't need this .ogg type. That's just another type of file. We're just going to use MP3. So I'm going to grab this code right here, and I'll copy it. And I'm going to come back over here to my code in brackets, and I've got a space right here inside of that division tag that's a column, and I'll go ahead and paste that in there. Now let me remove the OGG because I do not have that particular source, and I do have the MP3 file called Rainbow. I do have to make sure I get the right path to it. So if I look at my folder, you can see it's a folder called Media, and then it's a file called rainbow.mp3. So all I'm going to do here is come over and type in media/rainbow, and there it is right there. Okay, and I'll go ahead and save it. Notice it has controls on it. That is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. So I'll click Save, Come over here and refresh, and now you can see I've got this nice little player here. It has the play button, a slider, and then it also has volume on it. And I can just click play, and then it'll start playing. You can hear it in the background probably a little bit. So that works well. And again, as long as you don't upload too large of a file, it should work fine for you. So there it goes, it's playing just fine. So now let's go ahead and insert the video underneath that. I'll make a little bit of space here, so let me come back to my code, and you can see I've got the audio in there. So let me just put, I don't know, maybe an HR tag to put a line, and then that's where I'll put it. So I'll do save, over here refresh. So underneath that line I'm going to put the video in there, and the code is pretty similar. I'm going to come over here to the W3 Schools video, and I'll scroll down. Here's the code for that. Now one thing about this is it does have a width and a height in it, and the easiest way to find out what the width and the height is just right click on the video file and get the information. It doesn't really matter what system you're on. You know, I'm on a Mac here, so it might look a little different on a PC, but if you right click on that MP4 file, do get information, you'll see in this case mine is 640 by 360, so that's going to be what I want to use for the size. Alright, so I'm going to put this underneath the HR. Again, I'm not concerned about the OGG file type, and I do want to change the width and the height to match what it is. Now, I would recommend that you use the actual width and the height. If you are not happy with the size of the video, then you would need to resize that in a program like Adobe Premiere, or you might be able to use QuickTime, or like a Movie Maker program, something like that. But you don't want to resize it in the code. You want to go to the source of it and resize it. And now we just go ahead and type in, we're going to say media, and then I call this one airplane, and it's a .mp4. I'll go ahead and click File, Save, and I'll come over here, refresh this one, and now you can see that the video for this drops in here really nicely, and I can play it, and I've got a little video of an airplane taking off right there. It's only a 20-second clip, so again, what I'm showing you here, I would recommend that you keep it to fairly short clips and smaller audio sizes, because it's not streaming. It's like what would be called a progressive download, in that it's going to start playing before it all downloads. So as long as someone has a reasonably fast connection, then it's going to play just fine this way. So this is how you can use HTML5 audio and video to insert those files into your website and have some nice little controls on there, and then you would just upload those. And if you see my recent tutorial on FTP, that would show you how to upload a site like this to your server. If you are a BCTC student, you should have access to a free server where you could try to upload something like this and see how it works. But again, the setup I have here, I saved a new HTML file based on what I created in the tutorials for you a couple weeks ago. And then I created a media folder, got my two files in there, MP4, MP3, and then I used the HTML5 code from W3 Schools to insert that in there. And it works great. So if you have any questions on this, or want to explore it a little bit more, let me know. But that's going to be it for this tutorial.